Hi man, how's it going? Yeah, I'm alright. I'm just about to start. I'm a bit rushed because I've been a bit preoccupied last week. Yeah, so as planned yesterday, we're going to just follow the guidelines you set out and just play with them throughout. You'll be on speakerphone, everyone can hear you. I don't anticipate too much trouble from there. Hello everyone. It's a weird day today. My hat's on because I've got no hair, but again, we're here. It's another Sunday. It's another Sutton United show. I'm in with you once more, bringing you hopefully something entertaining, and we do have something entertaining here tonight, and someone entertaining too. But welcome. It's lovely to have you here. I can't say much else for the fact we are now living, in a different world to what we're used to, but today's a new Sunday, a new show. I look forward to bringing you something good. I have to check everything's working. It looks all right. My microphone is on. So, what do we have on tonight then? Well, first, kill that mosquito. Gotta be done. Adrian Barry is on. He's our vice president for Sutton United. He'll have many stories, many great opinions on the club that he's keen to share with us, so he'll be our guest tonight. Also, we have some more goals of the season that I've picked out, a bit of a nostalgia trip this evening, and a game from this past season which I personally enjoyed, and I'm sure you will be happy to go back in time to see that again. But first things first, hopefully you're all well. Just a heads up as well, because we've got some important announcements to make before we start with the show. The Player of the Year awards possibly are going to be played out on here on SCFC TV. That's what I'm understanding. We're looking forward to bringing that to you at some point. We just have to arrange how we're going to do it. It'll probably be like a multi-camera sort of thing, something you've never seen before, but we're an innovative group here and we look forward to bringing that to you. The second is I have the final results of the goal of the season votes. We all know who won it, but it gives us an idea of how close everything was, and the winner was unanimous, but it's only fair we give everyone else a bit of love if we can. So, 176 votes were cast for goal of the season. Omar Bagil won with 96 votes, 55% overall. David Ajaboye is striking against Woking, the rocket he hit from the far right-hand side into the opposite corner. He's got 13% of the vote, 23 votes. Harry Buteman against Barrow, he got 8% of the votes. It's the turn and finish in January. Omar Bagil with the team goal at 7%. Tommy Wright is at 6 for the goal against Harrogate. There's Rocky from outside the penalty, a great goal as well. David Ajaboye against Ebbsfleet finished 6th with 4% of the vote. Jamie Colledge's free kick against Dover should have got more love, really. It was probably one of his last goals for the club. He finished 7th. Harry Buteman finished 8th with his goal against Yeovil Town. And then it's Will Randall 9th with 2% of the votes against Hartlepool the opening day. Wow. Droit 10th are 2 Rob Milsom goals. I believe both of them are free kicks against Torquay and Chorley. It's a shame, really, because he hasn't got any votes at all. But, we'll show him all some love. They were all great goals and a fantastic compilation for us to make. Hopefully, we'll get more of the same next season. So, on to the fun of the evening. He's been at the club for more than 30 plus years, maybe more than I have, that's for certain, and has seen many a moment and enjoyed many a time at Sutton United. He's been very keen to be on the show, and hopefully will bring us something different to what we are used to seeing. I'm not saying we're in any competition here or anything, but he wants to make this a great show. So I trust him, and I hope he can provide it for us. Hopefully you'll bring us some fun, won't you, Adrian?
Hello, Ahmed. Good evening. Lovely to see and speak to you this evening. Delighted to speak to you indeed.
A pleasure having you. How are you feeling today? How's everything with you and everything at home?
Yeah, not bad at all. 40 days and 40 nights have now elapsed since we were all in lockdown. My darts has got better. Playing lots of rummy, lots of quiddler. My gardens never look better. So, every cloud.
There's plenty of silver lining, that's for certain. How good is your darts, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
Not nearly up to the Tim Vine standard, I'm afraid. But, we try.
Oh dear. I mean, I'm sure Tim's a wonderful darts player. He goes around I hear he goes around all over the country finding pubs of plenty to hit bullseyes on. So you're not in a bad league, I'd say. So start with obviously your involvement with Sutton. You've been heavily involved in the club proceedings the last few years and everything that's been going on over the, let's say, since you became vice chairman. But let's go to the beginning. How did you come to support Sutton United, and where did your love for the club begin?
Well, a good starting question. Oddly, I'd have to say that my two most vivid first memories, Ahmed, involved games I didn't actually get to attend for different reasons.
Wow.
My brother, who's 7 years older than me, big Hughes fan as well, always takes advantage of SUFC TV's wonderful service and the social media team's excellent work, so thank you for that. Yeah. He's now living abroad, but he was going, and I remember it distinctly because he was going to the FA Cup third round game at Hillingdon Borough back in 1970. And it was a bitterly cold night, and I was only 7 years of age, but I distinctly remember my dad wrapping up in about 18 layers and my brother and him going off to Hillingdon. And of course, what we didn't realise at the time, or I didn't realise at the time, was that there were only two non-league sides left in the competition at that particular point in time, and they drew each other. I mean, can you imagine that now? My God,
that would be incredible.
But of course, the winners went on to play the mighty Leeds, and I started watching the team, I guess, the seasons after that, when Vince, my brother, took me down there. But this is where Mark Freight will go off and watch Van der Valk instead. He's promised me that this will be the case if I mention this. But actually, the pivotal game for me, I guess, which kind of cemented my bond with the club, if you like, was a half term in October. It was 1974, and I'll never forget the date, the 29th it was. Oh. And we were playing Horsham, Ahmed.
Wow.
In a London Senior Cup second round replay, and I had the misfortune. It was a bit of a wet night, and I was dropped off just outside the ground by my dad.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything else particularly, because as I crossed the road opposite the plough to get to the ground, I was knocked down by a car, put up in the air, landed on my head, fractured my femur badly, also fractured my skull, and I was in St Helier, so taking advantage of our marvellous NHS from a very early stage. That was 3 months in traction, but the thing was that the player manager at the time was Ted Powell, will be well known to most Hughes fans, and he and a lot of the players, Ricky Kidd, Graham Dennis, I remember Larry Pritchard, Alan Ives, I think was there, Mickey Preston, Tony Coppin, all those. They came in to visit me in a hospital and presented me with all sorts of things, photos, signed ball, gifts, and all the rest of it. And there was born my unbreakable bond with our special club, Ahmed, 29th of October 1974.
Fantastic. So the best part of... I'll be careful here. I'm going to be very careful.
I don't look that old. I don't look that old, do I?
No, you don't. I'm still wondering, how does he still look so good for his age? It's a very surprising thing to me. Best part of 40 plus years with the club. So yeah, great bond you have, and I'm sure that night. I'm very keen to know what the result of that game was, because it must have been one really treacherous pitch with a lot of standing water and everything, and sloshing around in the mud. But what happened in the end? How did Sutton do that?
Provided Frankie isn't actually watching Van der Valk and Tony Dolbear is listening, we actually the first game was drawn 2-2 at Horsham, and we won this game 2-1. And I think it went to extra time. And my claim to fame was delaying the kickoff because the ambulances were dealing with the melee outside the ground. So I think it even was a late kickoff. So there have been some people who would have got home very late that night, and it was my fault.
Oh dear. I feel like he has some explaining to do to some of the Horsham players that are involved that evening. So I feel as if I did get an edge just by a bit of luck, I'd say. But yeah, well done, Adrian, on that one. An external question before we move on. Our resident commentator, Sahel Sahi's asked me, how did you perfect the hardest handshake in the world?
I don't know, Sahel. It's just, I like to, I'm a tactile sort of guy. I like to, I like to bond with people. Handshakes are important, I think, and I don't know. That's just the way I am. It's how I greet people. Maybe not in lockdown anymore, Ahmed. That's the trouble. Maybe I'll come back and it'll all be kind of, not all weak and woolly, but I hope not. I hope I'll come back charging in the same way as I left it. So yeah, it's just the way I am, I'm afraid. Can't help it.
I mean, we all have to lift some weights at the end of the day. As soon as those gyms open, you expect us all to be there. So your supporters spanned the best part of, 45, 5, 4, 6, I don't know, numbers are all over my head. You've had so many years supporting Sutton, but you don't look old enough, as we've mentioned, obviously. Have you been a regular throughout, or have you had times when you've had to dip in and out of the club? So have you been in and out of Sutton in most of your lifetime?
Yeah, it's been pretty regular, I would say. I mean, I did have a couple of periods when I was living away. One of the benefits of lockdown is that I've had the chance to read Johnny Lowry's rather excellent book, 6 Added Minutes. Have you read that?
I've read.
Excellent.
I think I've read transcripts of it. Unfortunately, I've never been able to go to the club shop because of how good football is. But as soon as I get back to the club and I hunt for a copy, I will. Yeah, Johnny, just expect some money in your pocket, mate.
Do it. I commend it to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the really interesting things from it that I found interesting anyway, it's a great chronicle of that period of his life and the football club and our success. But I think one of the interesting things from my perspective was the juxtaposition between the hardship that he was feeling at school as he did his GCSEs and his A-levels on the one hand, with the joy, obviously, that was provided by the football club with promotion to the National League and that extraordinary FA Cup run on the other. It's some great memories in there. Yeah. In my case, when I was his age doing it, it brought me back in time. And around the same time as he was writing that, my parents were Irish, both of them. They moved back to Ireland for work, and I was actually living with friends for the last 4 years of my school life. I was a John Fisher boy, and I was surrounded by Palace fans and living with staunch Carshalton fans. So you can see how difficult life was.
That's not easy.
Mid to late 70s were actually nothing particularly special for the U's. We did play Bournemouth, I remember, in an FA Cup first round tie. That's, memory serves me right. 75,
I'm thinking distinctly of a fresh-faced Harry Redknapp lurking around there somewhere.
Yeah, 75 that was. Yeah, that's it. We flirted with relegation One year, even I remember a couple of years later, when we were losing to Dulwich one night, and they had been relegated, and then we got back. So, and then there was the old Anglo-Italian success. You know, that's when hovercrafts were the quickest way to get across the channel still. You know, and so I only got to see the home games in that Anglo-Italian journey. Because you know, I was living with friends, and I didn't get the chance to do those brilliant journeys that a lot of other people have. I was quite envious of that. And then, of course, I had 4 or 5 years away at uni. I was up in Manchester, living out in Germany for a couple of years. Wow. I came back to watch the FA Trophy final, but I only really came back to the fold in '85. And that was the season, actually. I was listening to him intently a couple of weeks ago on his rather marvellous show. We were scoring goals for fun, and coming back to watch Sutton United at that time was a joy. Those late 80s were brilliant. But I was so disappointed that we turned down promotion at the end of that season. We won the Isthmian League in '84, '85. And I was so excited, sort of mid-20s, and I thought, you know, this is great, watching Sutton at the top table, it's going to be magnificent. And obviously we turned it down. And I actually wrote a letter in to the then chairman, Peter Malloy, bemoaning our lack of ambition. And I got a handwritten response, and a very, very courteous and fine one it was too. And then we went ahead and won the league again the following year. Yep. And it was a magical period. And then, you know, other than that, Ahmed, to be honest, I got married, my lovely wife, had my lovely kids in the 90s. Work was pretty demanding. You know, didn't have quite as much time to go to all the games, but still went to, you know, the Championship in '99, relegation the year after, and then that season where we came second and in the Isthmian League and made it into the Conference South. And since then, so that was 16, 17 years ago, I've pretty much been home and away every week.
Brilliant. That's avid support there for you, and I'll be honest, I've heard a lot of stories from fans across who have been across the country with on away days, or even running to a Gandon Green Lane, and they've got many a story. But I'm sure, Adrian, you're one of the hardcore fans that we have here at the club, and it's great to know that it's spanned as many decades as it has. Do you have any lasting memories from your early years supporting Sutton? Because I don't want to talk about those current ones just so yet. I want to think more about back then, when it was like still raw and you could enjoy football a little bit more before things got a little bit busier for you. So the early years at Sutton, what were your more standout memories?
Yeah, as I say, the 70s, the back end of the 70s weren't particularly successful. My favourite player at the time, I remember, was Ricky Kidd. He was our kind of talisman. The really strong early memories for me were, we had a great team under Barry Williams, the 85 to 90. We were in the conference. We had 5 seasons there, but the first 4 of them were just brilliant. I don't think we finished out the top half. Maybe we did one of them. Maybe we finished 12th one year. But the rest of it was all, you know, it was great stuff. It was so much fun. And my brother and Steve Hutchinson, who people will know, and a few other college mates of mine, we had a ball going around the country, and we used to take it in turns to drive, Ahmed. But I chose Barnet and Dagenham and Fisher Athletic, and I let them take me to Altrincham, Runcorn, Stafford, Kidderminster, Kettering, and all those other places further afield, so I could have a beer. And we called ourselves Suet, which was Sutton United Executive Travel, so a bit of a forerunner of the Cox. Bit of a forerunner of the Cox and Gandemonium, and you know, we had a great time sponsoring the players, and those FA Cup runs back then. I mean, we may talk about the most recent FA Cup run, which is just immortal, but we had a couple of very good ones then as well. The Coventry one everyone talks about. The season before, we played Middlesbrough. That was superb. The replay up there was great, and the league form. You know, it was a great team, that one. So those years were great. But so is the current era. You know, it has to be said, and it has to be said that in recent times, the last 4 or 5 seasons that we've had as Sutton supporters has been very special. You know, Dolls came into the club in 2008, and you know, he transformed the place. We had 11 magical years, which will always be grateful to him. He came in at a fairly low ebb, I guess. You know, we've been relegated. He got us out of the Isthmian League after 3 years, and then of course we won the National League South. You know, when we overtook Ebbsfleet, thrillingly, and now we're playing the National League, and we finished in our best ever position in the club's history. A couple of years ago in 3rd place, we were 1 game away from Wembley. You know, who knows what would have happened then? that other excellence. So you have to pinch yourself, Ahmed. Yeah. Now, I know I'm an old timer, but I'm living the dream, mate. Going off to places like Orient and Hartlepool and Tranmere and Lincoln and winning there has been really special. And we've now got, the legacy of that is we've got a terrific young manager now, great team in place. Matt really gets this place. He's football through and through, passionate about what he does, and he's unbelievably hardworking. Great guy to work with. I'm really excited to see where we go forwards. Let's look forwards.
Excellent. We'll talk more about the previous season. We have to call it last season now because it will no longer continue. But we'll talk about last season a bit more later on. So, you from an 8-year-old boy supporting a team becoming a vice chairman, quite a remarkable rise. How did that journey come about? What roles did you fulfill along the way? I mean, there must have been a variety of things you were doing before you became vice chairman at the club.
A very fine question, Ahmed. It's quite a circuitous route, I guess. My career has always been in sales and marketing, and originally my mission was to see how we could increase attendances at the club, just increase the profile of the club in the borough overall. It was a real source of irritation for me that there are so many chimney pots in the London Borough of Sutton, but only a relatively small percentage of them have people in them that actually come down and support the team. And I came around to the way of thinking that if it was my passion, I wanted it to be other people's passion as well. So originally it was kind of spreading the word and promotion fixture posters to shops and bars and clubs and anywhere really that I tried to get the name across. And then I guess it was probably I'm going to say 2006-07 maybe, with some leading luminaries in the support base, people like Tony Henderson-Smith and John James and Gareth Miller, Chalmers and others. I was very involved in setting up a supporters trust at the time, which had a number of aims, but the biggest of which was to give the fans a voice on the main club board, acquire a shareholding in the club. And it was all about fundraising and spreading the word in the community. But when I look back at it, I think that trust setup was in many ways the forerunner of much of the superb community outreach work that we're now seeing happening all the time. Steve King and the disability setup is just magnificent. The fact that we've managed to integrate all the 2 women's teams and 7 girls teams in the club. We've got walking football too. We've got huge community outreach. Jenny the Giraffe's work out there. Brilliant. But the important thing was that we had a fan sitting on the board, and it was me that was nominated to be the supporters trust representative, and so I was representing the fans' voice. If you like, the fans' interests fell under my jurisdiction on the board at that time. And then fast forward, the 3G pitch really uplifted the community use, vastly increased as a consequence of it, and we set up a charitable incorporated organisation which we call the Sutton United Youth and Community Foundation, and the work of that was basically to continue to spearhead the brilliant community work that had been done before, and I became its chairman. But I suppose most visibly under the DOS years, I've got involved in all sorts of things when you look back at it. There was a thing we called the End Goal Initiative, I remember, which was a bit of a fundraiser. I mean, the strikers are key, which we'll have to have a little chat about, I'm sure, as the evening progresses. Yeah. I got involved heavily in season ticket sales because, we've gone from literally 4 or 5 years ago having sold 120 season tickets in total. We brought the price right down and, tried to get the fans coming in and suddenly, last year we were up to nearly 1,500. That's brilliant. And just ticket sales in general, I got involved with. And so all that stuff together was working closer and closer with the board overall and the individuals on the board. And at the end of that 2017 season, to cut a very long story short, Bruce asked me to be his vice chairman. Now, you had him on last week, didn't you, Ahmed? And it was all very entertaining.
It was. I understand Mr. Greg Clark did a very good job of asking some, I like to say, interesting questions to Mr. Elliott. I do believe he touched a lot on, the club being run and how important you were as a factor in building that up. Yeah, it was an interesting show last week. For those who didn't get to see it, it is on the channel. You can look back at it and take your opinions from it and what he said. He's also got some strange choices for who you would take from Land's End to John O'Groats, which is a strange... not only a strange car journey to have, but the people he's picked as well. Controversial choices. Speaking of season tickets...
I hope you're going to ask me later, Ahmed, because, I've been thinking about it.
You know what? Because Greg did it last week, we'll try and make it a regular occurrence whenever someone comes on one of our shows. We'll get them to tell us who they would want in their car. Speaking of season tickets, you were just discussing, obviously, how it's been rising over the last few years. Jenny Corkett, one of our fine friends of the channel, is asking how are the current season ticket sales going. Obviously, with no idea with football currently in the middle of nowhere at the moment, I'm sure they're going quite well either way.
Well, do you know what, Ahmed? I wanted to thank everybody who's got involved in this, because it's a real testament to the support that we've got at this football club. That, bearing in mind we're in the middle of lockdown at the minute, nobody really knows how the economy is going to shake down, when we're going to play football again. I mean, hopefully it will be sooner rather than later, God willing.
Of course.
But we've actually sold over 200 season tickets already for next year. It was about 207 at last count.
That's
and
brilliant.
That's really important to us. And I want to thank those people personally. I know I've bumped into a few people, and people have sent me a few WhatsApp messages about this over the course of the last few weeks as to how this is going. And it is an important income stream for us at the moment. And for those people to part with that cash, and that's over £35,000 worth of revenue that's come in. Some of them are on the 5-year season tickets as well, which is great. That's been invaluable to us, and that's coming from people who, at the moment, don't know when we're going to start next season. So that's been brilliant. I mean, at this time last season, obviously, we just finished the season.
Yeah.
We'd had the bird thing in place, and so we probably, I know that we'd sold just over 800 by this point. But for us to have sold 207 season tickets without actually knowing when the season is taking place, that speaks volumes for the support that we've got at Sutton United. I was just going to say, actually, as well, Ahmed, that last week, just concluding the question about the how I kind of got involved in season tickets and how I guess that was one of the reasons why I was asked to become vice chairman with all this kind of selling wing. But Bruce is a character who everyone knows very well. And I can 100% attest that he really is Mr. Sutton United. I've worked very closely with him over the last 3 years, and I really struggle to grasp how hard he manages to work on behalf of this club, and how much it means to him, and indeed to all of us as a board.
Yes.
He embodies it. We're honest, we're hard-working, totally committed to the furtherance of the club. But the really important thing here, and this is linked to the season ticket question, is that we never forget the responsibility that all of us have, board have, for our fan base, our community's attachment to this football club. It's a very special club, and we have got a special guy in charge of it. So it didn't take me very long to say yes, but the thing revolves around the fan base, because it is like a family, and we're all missing each other, and that's really important for us to keep that in mind.
My apologies. I have a very big family in my house, Adrian. My youngest brother just come in to give my other brother a controller, which he found in my cupboard. There's just some things you can't do with on live television or live streams. That's one of them, I'm afraid. Anyway, I apologise for that. You can go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, finishing the journey as to how it was that I ended up being in the position that I'm in at the moment, and you were asking how that route came about, and that's how it came about.
That's pretty much so. So I need to remember from now on to get an on-air sign at the front of my room, so that people don't know when to come in, when not to. Alas, some of you get free blooper content, that's for certain. Let's move on to the next one. What is it about Sutton United that makes it a special club for you, and how important is it to maintain such a high level of service to the club, especially for how long you've served it for?
Well, what makes this such a special club I did suggest in the little ITV piece that we did on Friday that Sutton United is a bit like being in a family, and it really is. What we've got to remember all the time is it's totally run by volunteers. And, in comparison to a lot of our peers in the National League, totally run by volunteers. Yep. And the best thing about it is that there are no egos, no agendas. Everyone involved in the club throughout is driven, in my mind, maybe I'm being a idealist here, but I think my reading of it is that everyone is driven by the same motive, and that is the progress of the club and to always act in the best interests of it. We're all fans, from the chairmen of the club. They're all driven by wanting to take the place forward, and they're easy words to say. We've used the mantra for the last few years, this "in it together" thing. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, I think it's really important, particularly now more than ever. We want all our fans to always be able to relate to the board. We never want to lose sight of that. It's a special place. It's one club from board level right through to all the volunteers, the programme sellers, the tea sellers, everything, to every fan who chooses to come and support us. And the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Is that the same? I think it is. And that's an ethos which I hope and think is understood right throughout, but also by our management team and players. In fact, I know it is, because I've had this conversation with Matt and with Jason and previously obviously with Doz and the players kind of, I'd like to think a lot of them play for Sutton United because they understand what the club is about, and that's a hard thing to replicate, Ahmed.
Yeah.
When you get into it, you're in it, and that's it, and you love the fact that everyone else is in it for the same reason, and I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, I'd share your sentiment to that as well. Since I started this season commentating for Sutton United on numerous days throughout the year, obviously some being scuppered by work elsewhere, but since I've started, I've felt that very same family vibe and the sort of report you get from a club that cares about everyone who takes part gets involved, everyone who chips in a little for something bigger, hopefully in the future. It just has that that family vibe that I feel like I don't get with many other places, especially with some of the areas I work in are bigger clubs as well, or bigger places. In fact, there hasn't been that sort of love or sort of attention you deserve. You need to be recognised every way. Every person at Sutton United that I've seen has been recognised for the work they do or the work that they're going to do, not only on the pitch but off it. I mean, what we do at SCSE TV, as unique as it is probably much more groundbreaking than what most clubs do in the National League, maybe even in the Football League as well. Some of the teams up above us care more or less about the game, and that's it. But whereas with us, it's just about, we try our best to give you everything. And I don't mean just us here, but everyone at the club. So I share that resentment.
Huge part of the club, Ahmed. SUFC TV do a tremendous job. And everyone needs to know that. A lot of hard work goes into it on a shoestring budget, I know. That's the way we operate as a club.
Absolutely.
And the work that all you guys do there, and all the people involved in social media and getting that word across. Me of all people, I kind of understand the need, the comms need and sales and marketing element of it, play a huge part in that, and that should never ever be taken for granted. It's priceless, gold dust.
It is. It's more. It could be, as they say, more important than things above us as well. Another question. I'm just having a look here. Someone's asking me in the chat. All right, that's fine. So, hi, beat from Sean Donnelly. It's Sean from the Cox here. We hope everyone is well, and I'm sure you are too, Sean. What is your standout memory for the season so far, albeit that it's finished? I feel like that's something we're going to cover later on, isn't it? So, anything related to the past season, we'll cover later on, because I want to get through the questions that we've set out for him, and I make sure that it's like more flowing, because I'm very keen to know about everything behind the scenes as well. So we'll stick to it.
Don't let me forget it, because there's a standout moment from this season, and Sean Donnelly was in it. So don't let me forget to go back to it.
I won't either. Trust me. I'm keen to get everyone's questions in, but we've actually set up a mantra. Like I always say for Matt in weekday interviews before we do match day weekends, is a set of questions for him to focus on during that interview. So I'm sure you've seen those throughout the season. Trying to do the same for AB, so it feels a little special. Hey, so I'm sure with all this football that you've been watching, or having some involvement behind the scenes in, did you ever get the chance to kick the round thing on the green stuff? And have you ever done anything notable on it?
There's a question, did I play football?
Yes.
Well, yes, is the short answer to that. Only ever at Sunday morning league stuff, Northern District League, Sutton United supporters. When I came back to London to find work, I needed to A, get fit, and B, I needed to get back into football in a major way. And I actually ended up playing for 18 seasons as centre-half for the supporters club in the Northern District League. And the manager throughout that whole period was no other than the inimitable Clive Baxter, our kit man. Now, what a guy he is, by the way. You need to get him on this show, by the way, at some point.
At some point we will, because I'm sure he's got so many good memories and stories, as you do, about his time at the club.
I was his captain over that period, and we had a ball together. We had some successes in the league and lots of great times, but we actually made it to 5 cup finals, Ahmed. 2 of them held at the home of football, and 3 at the other place in the borough, and we managed to lose them all. But over the years, there are lots of fans, Sutton supporters, regular faces that you'll see, and I apologise when I miss out many of these, but Mark Kidd and Ian Thompson, even Starnsey was there, Colin Parker, Kevin Thack, Al Finnan, and Steve King. Now, Steve King plays a major part, actually, in my football career. Is that the way of putting it? I don't really know. You have a career on Sunday morning.
We all have one.
He was our centre forward. I think that's what we called them in those days. And he was quick, and he occasionally, came up trumps for us. But a really popular member of the team. But we used to train once a week on an evening, and on one occasion we went up for a header together in training. And he managed to, 2 months after I got married, I remember it distinctly, shoved my cheekbone up through my eye socket, which was a little sore. And I was just every time we see each other, we just kind of have a little nod to each other on that. Had it been 2 months earlier, my wedding pictures would have been interesting, that's for sure. And then it all came to a grinding halt. I'm afraid I broke my leg at Collierswood United Football Club. At the age of 40, I could have made it, Ahmed. Could have made it.
You and me together, pal. We're part of the Broken Leg Club.
There we go. So yeah, that was great fun, and the whole thing. I mean, Clive Baxter, he is a what a guy he is, by the way. The work he does for the football club, and we used to drive to football together on a Saturday, and then the Sunday morning stuff took place. He was a big part of it throughout it was between when I came back from college right through to 2003, something like that, I guess. Great times, really good time. But I was never particularly good. Played centre half, did a lot of pointing and shouting, that was my football career.
Brilliant. That's actually very nice indeed, I have to say. A quick question: did you score any goals? I have to know this because yes, as a centre half, naturally defenders don't score many goals whenever they are at set pieces or other stuff like that. But did you ever get the chance to score a few? And if you did, were they important or?
Do you know what, Ahmed? Modesty forbids here, because I've actually got a little tray that they gave me. What do you call these things? A little kind of memento thing.
Yeah.
They presented me with a long service award, and on it said 465 appearances, 74 goals. Right?
That's better than some of the United players that have come and gone over the few years.
And a lot of that, I'm going to say 70 of them were from headers from corners and free kicks, Ahmed, because, big lumbering oaf used to kind of come up to those and
Scary
chuck back afterwards.
Scary thought defending against you, Adrian.
But yeah, there are some stories. This is a family show and I can't share them.
That's true. Save them for the club bar when we get back, yeah?
Yeah, but no, that's it. So, not bad return, would you say, for a lumbering
That
old
is
centre?
a very good record, especially for a centre half. And I'm sure if Matt was watching this, I thought he'd be jealous at the sight of the thought of you scoring as many goals as that.
You know what? I was having a chat with Matt the other night, actually, and we were talking about how well things had gone, particularly in the second half of the season, how we were looking forward to next year and all the plans he had, and he was really enthusiastic about how it was all going forward and the areas that he wanted to concentrate on.
Yeah.
And you know what? He said the one thing that we're not doing enough of at the minute is the two centre halves. Brilliant, 16 goals away from home all season.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to only concede that number. But they don't get enough goals from corners and free kicks. And I'm thinking, well, what we need is an old-fashioned centre half, Ahmed, goes up there and puts himself about a bit. That's what you need.
Then again, we have to give a bit of love to Ben Goodliffe. He scored about 2 or 3 this season, and even still, that for him in his first season at the club, that is
Brilliant.
Quite remarkable. Even still, and he's
putting
great shifts in at the other half of the field. You can't neglect the fact he scored 2 key goals for Sutton United during that wonderful period over Christmas, where I think we won 3 in a row, and he scored like abundance of goals. So.
He's a key man. Ben Goodliffe has got a great future ahead of him. He's got all the credentials, all the qualities. We've got some really exciting players, Ahmed, and he's one of them.
We're going to touch on those later on, I'm sure. But yeah, some love for Ben Goodliffe there, everybody. Next up, this is a banter sort of thing, but whoever knows about this will be familiar with our magic. Strikers are key draw in the players' bar post every home game, and I can't tell you the amount of home games I've been to where I've seen that happen, and let's just say it's carnage at least. But gold jacket, accordion and all, how did that idea come about, and what possessed you to get about a good part of 50 plus people into a small room to shout at someone in the gold jacket? What possessed you to think of such an idea?
Well, the first thing to say is it actually wasn't my idea. This was a Dolls initiative. What's a good question this is. Strikers are Key has rather evolved into something very mad indeed. And I'd like to be able to put my finger on how that has happened. But when I think about it, I think I was away the day they were looking for a volunteer to run it, and I got selected, if you know what I mean, Ahmed. So it was something that kind of got landed with.
Yeah.
And it was designed, and is designed, and it's all joking aside, it's actually a really important club initiative. It's there to raise funds, along with these other things. But it's a bit unique. It's a bit exciting because it's set up. It was originally set up to enable us to feel the kind of quality of strikers we need to hopefully fire the goals to get us promotion.
Yeah.
And as you say, 50 syndicates. It actually raises £18,000, and we give away on a good season, if we scored lots of goals, maybe half that, maybe less than half that. So it's a kind of 10 grand minimum profit for the club. Brilliant. But the thing about it is when we win, the bar is heaving and everyone is having a great time. Huge fun. When we win, it's just the best thing. It runs itself. When we lose, it's the hardest thing to do. And you're reminded, not that I need reminding or any of us need reminding, how important this club is to so many people when you look at the faces of people if we haven't had a good result on the Saturday. And I remember one game this season where I think we lost to Ebbsfleet at home in about the 111th.
Oh, no.
And I remember standing on the chair thinking, how in God's holy name am I going to be able to do this? But, we did it, and people understood it, and it has evolved. The accordion, I just picked it up one day because I don't use a microphone, so I'm screeching the odds, and there's a lot of people in there having a lot of, making a lot of noise, having a lot of fun, drinking across the bar. That's what we're all about. That's what we want. The accordion was there to gain attention, but I didn't want the thing to go stale, so I then thought, I found this really horrible gold jacket. I mean, gold sequin thing. It's disgusting. You can't actually wash it because it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
And you have to Febreze it every now and again. And so I thought I'd bring it along and give it a little bit of extra. And it kind of took off a little bit. It's kind of taken a life of its own. And I love the fact the players join in with it and happy to wear it and what have you. And the best thing about it, Armin, I've got to say, is we now sort of take it as almost completely normal. This is taking place on a Saturday afternoon. When you when you have away teams in there, players and their fans, they just look at me as if I'm some sort of, from outer space or whatever. Because they just don't know what the hell is going on. I remember you mentioned one of the goals Ben Goodliff scored this year against Yeovil. Actually, we won 3-2. Do you remember that when David Edgeboy got the winner?
Fantastic game.
We were on that brilliant run, and we beat Yeovil, having just beaten Woking, and we'd beaten Wrexham, and everyone was high as a kite in the bar. And I must admit, I might have had one of my more ebullient moments on the chair. and I think, is it Darren Sell, the manager of Yeovil? I think it's. He was there talking to Matt, I think, in the corner, and he actually came up to me afterwards, and he said, I had no idea what the hell was going on. And bearing in mind they lost 3-2, he said, I really don't know what the hell was going on, but that was just brilliant. And I said to him, look, I don't know what the hell's going on either, but, it seems to work somehow. But a little secret for you here, Ahmed, on the strikers are key. So I keep trying to freshen it up. At the gold jacket, players involved, love it, everyone going for it, and the support we brilliant. But I've actually got another item of clothing that I've brought to games since the end of November, and I've never had to use. It's like the losing ribbons at the FA Cup when they have to bring it to dress the winners. The FA Cup, the losing get thrown away, right? The gold jacket has a friend, and it's vivid blue, right? And this vivid blue jacket was only coming out if we lost, and we never lost a home game between the time that I got it and the end of the season coming around. Mm-hmm. So there we go, hoping that blue jacket never comes out. But we nearly lost the gold jacket because there were two ladies from Barrow who were enjoying the day, shall we say, when we played them earlier in the season, and they got on the coach with it, and I managed to get it back. So there we go. Where would it be without the gold jacket? It's mad. It's completely insane.
I had a funny feeling they had something to do on that day, did those Barrow fans? They must have had an agenda. That gold jacket must have been their mission. They didn't get away with it.
Somehow it works. I don't know how it works, but it works. And, as long as people want it to continue, then that's what non-league's all about, Absolutely. Isn't it? Get up there and do that. And everyone's in it together. And there's another example. Yeah,
certainly. I'm getting increasing demand for the accordion. If you behave yourselves, I'll make him play it. Sahel's asked me what is in my juice. My juice is orange, Sahel. So if you're wondering what that is, it's nothing. Sahel will know the idea behind it. Orange juice, there you go. It tastes very nice as well. Sipping it is a joy. Another couple of messages here. Dave Smart here. I'm familiar. Oliver Smart, the cameraman, he's a close friend of mine. Remembers Clive Baxter as a club cook on match days as well with his wife. He is Mr. Sutton United. Yep. AB, I remember watching you for the sports club. You weren't bad, mate. Dave has happy memories for you, and once again touching on Clive, who's done so much for the club. But I can imagine he's done so much, not only as a kit man, but having to fiddle around the kitchen as well.
No, honestly. First of all, Dave, the tenner's in the post, mate. Nice of you to say. Secondly, Clive is just the embodiment of the club, what it's all about. His work rate, he's a kit man, and it is his dream job. It absolutely is his dream job. He's Sutton United through and through, bleeding amber. He will do anything for the club and for the players and for the management. He really is. And when he was managing the supporters club, we were so organised. Sometimes Sunday morning stuff is a bit haphazard, to say the least.
Been there, done that.
He was just, he had us all in shape. He had his, everything was organised for us, and he's just brought that on now to the benefit of the football club. But you're right, his missus, they used to run the tea bar, I think, or the old Jenny's Kitchen area. They did that for years, and then obviously, when he retired, he was asked by Doz, or we said to Doz, look, we've got the ideal person to do the kitman job, and Doz always said that he's his best signing. And I'm sure Matt and Jason and the boys all appreciate what he does as well, because there we go, another example. There's so many in the club, Ahmed, and we've talked about Clive quite a lot, but there are so many people like him for whom this club is really, really important. It's part of the community, everyone's in it, and there you go. He's certainly one of them. Great
Absolutely.
guy.
I think I can promise now, when we get the chance to go back into Gansley Green Lane on a free weekday, we'll get Clive in front of the camera and talk to him about his many years at the club. I'm sure he'll have plenty of time to talk about it. If we can't get him on camera, we'll get him on the show. One way or another, we would love to get his thoughts on his time at Sutton United. And he is a well-loved member of the club. And you can clearly see from AB's lovely renditions and serenading of him, it's clear to see he is really well cared for. So, Clive, if you're watching, AB is sending you money later on. Let's get to the next question. See, so season tickets, that's an enterprise that you are responsible for. How are they going? I think we touched on that earlier on. So it's the FA Cup run. Back onto tickets again. Now, obviously, those who football history is coming with it. I shall point out me and Dave Smart are not related. Ooh, sorry, Ollie. The FA Cup run a few years ago, obviously a fantastic run. Many people remember it for the on the pitch matches and the performances put in by the likes of Matt Tubbs. Craig Eastman was excellent that time as well. It's just the whole team was brilliant. But let's just say you had a hard job that season. I think particularly for the games between Leeds and Arsenal, to pick 5,000 people to have tickets for two notably huge cup ties. How much of a burden was that for you? And what are your memories of that fantastic time when Sutton were in the limelight and the national game's eyes were on them? Big deep breath.
That FA Cup run, 2016-17, no one with any association with Sutton United will never ever forget it. I mean, it bordered on the surreal, and as you rightly said, tickets and selling in general had kind of become my thing. I remember that before this FA Cup. Do you remember when we played Notts County on a Sunday? It was live, I think, on ESPN on Sunday.
It was, yeah. Was it 2011?
Yeah, so it was a while before that, and I took it upon myself, and I was supported by a number of people. We erected a stall in Sutton High Street.
Yeah.
John James will remember it, Tony Henderson-Smith, I think Sal was there, Mark Bravery, a few others came along as well to help out. And we set this stall up in the High Street on the Saturday, and our mission was to try and sell as many tickets as we could and spread the word. And we sold about 200 or 300 tickets that day. And most of them were to people who were shopping in Sutton High Street and who didn't even know that Sutton United existed. So fast forward to the 16-17 season, and we did the same thing for when Cheltenham came down in the second round. We put the stall up, and it was okay. We got a fair amount of interest. I think we sold, because it was all paid, so the season ticket holders had to pay as well. I think we got about 2,500 in there that day, and of course that was the Rory Deacon show in the 96th minute. Brilliant. Into the third round. We're in the bar. We're waiting to see who we get. All the big teams had gone. We got pulled out first. AFC Wimbledon at home. That really had all the mystique and charm about it. The history between the two clubs. We thought, well, this is going to be a sellout. There's no doubt about it. So we worked out as a committee how we were going to organise the tickets, the eligibility, start season ticket holders, and it's all that stuff, 2 per person, blah blah blah. And we sold the thing out, and it was busy, really busy, quite hectic, but we were quite pleased with ourselves. It had been done very well. The replay, we sold again very quickly. There were 800 tickets available, and we sold them in one afternoon. That was a night I shall never ever forget. From the moment that the Rory Deacon equalised to about 10 to 4 in the morning when I staggered out of the bar to go home, it was the most sublime night imaginable. It was one of those where I had to spend it in the terraces. I couldn't sit in the stands for that one, and I'm delighted to have made that decision because it was pandemonium in there. Magical night. And we knew we were playing Leeds. And so we had our plan for Leeds. Wimbledon was up to this level. Leeds was higher again, much upscale, but the demand from Leeds wasn't as great as it was from Wimbledon, and so we were able to look after our own that much more. We sold the place out again. There were a few issues with it, but it worked, I think. People may contradict me on that, but with Leeds, I didn't get the feeling that we kind of, dropped any clangers, particularly with regards to the ticket allocation on that. And then, of course, Arsenal came about. And, my God, Arsenal, the game was on the 20th of February 2017. We decided we were going to adopt a very similar approach to try and look after our own, and massively underestimated the global demand for this game right from the off, if we're being honest. We went on sale on the 12th of February. I remember it so well, and occasionally I still think about it, Ahmed, to be honest, because there are lessons to be learned, and if we're ever in the fortunate position to be in it again, we would do it differently. Yeah. However, everything was done for what we believe to be the right reasons. It was a bad week all round, that one. I lost my mother on the previous Thursday in Ireland. I flew back on the Friday. We lost 3-0 badly at Solihull on the Saturday, and then we started to sell the tickets on the Sunday. And I got to the ground at 7 a.m. and I thought, we are in a world of trouble here with this. We're never, ever, ever going to be able to accommodate with our plan all the people that we would want to. Now, throughout this whole thing, and I was basically there selling the tickets, other people had to pass on the messages down there. It was a bitterly cold day as well, I remember. And people were coming in 5 hours later who come to every game, and I sat there thinking, oh my God, you're definitely coming in anyway. You should have been at the front of the queue, and you should be sitting at home now with your cup of tea. Our biggest single issue was to make sure that all our regulars, all our fans got in. And eventually we begged and pleaded for returns from sponsors and advertisers, and I think and hope and pray that we succeeded 99% of the time. I really hope that's the case. Yeah. That was a mad period. Never ever forget it. I still watch. I actually watched it the other night because in lockdown, what else do you do? Yeah. Watching it, and Simon Keep, if he's listening, and his dad, because I work for a company that's involved very much with national newspapers. I kept every single newspaper clipping from that cup run, and Cara, my daughter, and Cara comes to all the games with me, all the home games anyway, and she comes to quite a lot of the away games too. We spent days putting this thing together. There's 2 scrapbooks of memorabilia, and I've still got them, and I haven't decided what to do with them yet. And I want, actually, for people to be able to borrow them and look at them, because they're a brilliant chronicle of that mad time. Yeah. Just a special time. And Simon Keep, he gave me a folder full of cuttings from the Coventry era as well. So we've now actually got, in my possession here, 3 scrapbooks full of superb memorabilia, every newspaper cutting, interviews, all the different titles, what they made of those games, and they're a great memento. And Bruce and I have been talking actually about trying to put something, some sort of archive together in the club for people to come and look at this stuff, because that is a chronicle of an amazing time. But the ticket side of it, of course I would have done it differently, or we would have done it differently, given the chance to do it again, and we will do it differently next time round. And I really hope all our regular fans got in to watch that game, and heartfelt apologies if they didn't.
Yeah, so I feel sympathy obviously for all the job you had to do during that tumultuously stressful time. But the key of success on the pitch is that it grows interest off it. On Thursday night, I'm going to bring Tony Dolbear in, everybody, to obviously give us his thoughts and memories of the occasion of that FA Cup run, and from the media point of view, because I'm sure there was a lot of stressful times for him, and as well as you, Adrian. Simon has actually come back with a response to the live chat, says it's my pleasure. So he's grateful he's grateful to you, Mr. Barry.
Wonderful. Tony Dolbear. That'll be an interesting interview. Looking forward to that. Yes. He has an unbelievable memory of what's gone on at the club, which puts us all to shame. He and Mark Freight, between them, are they have battle royale on train journeys.
Gladiators, eh?
Yeah, 1972 3-season away at Hitchin, you know, that kind of stuff comes out. It's a sport. But Tony Dolbear, that particular period of time, I don't know how he dealt with it all. I really don't know how he dealt with it all, because he's obviously in charge. He was in charge of our kind of media engagement and worldwide, Ahmed. I mean, it was unreal, that whole thing, for a club our size run by volunteers. He did an unbelievable job.
I agree, because from experience, I've worked on European nights at Tottenham, both at Wembley and at the current stadium. The nights before, they have these media gatherings for, obviously, because the team have to train the night before on the pitch before they play the following evening. So it's basically to, your reconnaissance and all that rubbish. Those evenings are stressful because I have to sometimes help some of the media members from one country or another position themselves accordingly so they don't get in the way of cameras and everything. I'm quite sure Tony Dolbear's was much more stressful than mine, because for me, it's just a case of making sure they're okay and they have everything they need on a typical European night. Normal match days, no big deal. They're all English, they know what to do. But it's those ones that become difficult, and it must have been 10 times more stressful because it was not only because Sutton were in the limelight so much, but the FA Cup as well. It's a ridiculous combination. We'll have him on Thursday. He'll give us more of his stories and his hopefully stress-free rendition of the Arsenal game as well. So hopefully he'll be great. He's great to work with as well, is Tony. I really enjoy commentating with him on many of our away days. Even had a few laughs along the way as well. So hopefully we can do more of that next season. So
Tony, I'm looking forward to listening to him on Thursday. He is one of life's good guys as well. He's very self-deprecating, but my God, is he professional about what he does. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy listening to him as well. So looking forward to that.
Absolute gentleman he is, and I'm personally looking forward to hearing from him too. Feels like so long since we last interacted. So next up, it is time for another trip back down the memory lane again, but more or less about the time. So what have been your favourite times supporting the U's, matches you'd rather forget, or ones that you keenly remember? I mean, you've got some picking to do.
Well, matches I'd rather forget and ones I would be keen to remember. Well, as I alluded to before, we've had two in my time. I think we've had so many good times, but we've had two particularly strong eras. The one that I was talking about earlier, that late 80s, that was great fun. But the one we're in at the minute, Ahmed, I mean, the one we're in at the minute, we're in the midst of something special at the minute, and that's something we've got to remember. But ones I'd rather forget, well, I'm obsessed with the FA Cup. It's probably because I never made it to that Hillingdon Borough game back in 1970. That's probably what caused it all. And we've had some FA Cup disappointments alongside but let's be honest, we can't complain about those when you see what we've actually done in the competition. Mm-hmm. In both those eras. FA Trophy, it would be lovely, wouldn't it, to win that at some point. We've had some disappointments in the final and in the semi-finals against Kingstonian and Wickham, those two. But if I was to give you my top three disappointments, I think I'd have to start talking about playoffs, Ahmed. We don't have a great track record in playoffs. I think we've only played 5 and we've lost all of them. But 3 of them I was left empty after them. The first one, Kingstonian, when Bobby Traynor scored those 2 worldies, that was in Doz's second season, and I really thought we were going up, and that was punishing. Dover, when we went down there and drew 1-1, and then they had a guy sent off in the first few minutes, but we were so short players because we had so many injuries around that time, and unfortunately came out the wrong end of that one. That I really thought we were going to do the job there as well. And then more recently, that Boreham Wood defeat a couple of seasons ago. Do you know what? We finished 3rd in the league that year. It's the best league placing in the club's 122-year history. Yeah. And we were 1 game from Wembley, and Tranmere had made it to Wembley. We knew that. It was a boiling hot day against Boreham Wood, and for some reason, you get that feeling about games. It just didn't feel right. it just didn't seem to be panning out the way we wanted.
Weird. Let me give a couple 2 cents on this because I watched that game back only because I had to work on the media team at Wembley on the day of the final. So I'd already watched Tranmere win the previous day. I was kind of rooting for Sutton to win that game, so it would be a bit more like level-sided. And it'd be nice to see Amber Chocolate in the stands at Wembley, but ultimately, I think Bournemouth had just a couple of weeks ago replayed that game as like a notable memory from their recent history. And having watched it back, not only live but on early last week or a week or so ago, Sutton United that day was a strange performance. It was a good one, but it was a very strange one, and I think it reflects what you've just said about the mood being very different on that day, and it could have ultimately been so much better, couldn't it?
Do you know what though? If that had gone on another 5 minutes, we'd have won that because they were out on their feet, and Ross Lafayette, keeper pulled off an amazing save late on, and if it had gone to extra time, we had the legs, we had the momentum. But that's football. All I do know is that had we made it to Wembley that year with the team we had then, and Tranmere had a player sent off in the first minute against us, then we could be playing in the EFL now. They're the fine margins. But let's not dwell on the bad ones. Let's talk a bit about the good ones.
Yeah.
There are almost too many to mention, Ahmed.
I've got one here actually. Simon's brought up. Peterborough away must be up there as a highlight. I'll have to say.
Yeah. Well, what a day! Lenny Dennis on the fence at Peterborough will remain with me to my grave. Marvellous day that was. Aldershot, Peterborough. Then Middlesbrough, of course. The Mark Golly equaliser there to take us up to Borough. Nigel Golly hitting the bar. We could have had Everton in the 4th round if that had gone in. We were superb that night up at Middlesbrough. Coventry. Just an awesome event. Aylesbury away, can I throw that one in there when we won 4-1 on the championship season in '99? That was tremendous. Nazi Macrour and co. But more, and then in that conference season when we played Coventry, we had a couple of games. We couldn't stop scoring. I think we beat Kettering 8-0 one Tuesday night, and then not long before or after it, Tony will tell you on Thursday, I'm sure, we beat Bath City 7-2. We scored 15 goals in 2 games. And every time we just looked like scoring for fun. They were wonderful times.
Yeah.
And then obviously more recently, chasing down Ebbsfleet, that win at Maidstone that night. My God, that was raw. That really was raw. That's what the club was all about. And and so many others besides, Ahmed. So many others besides. They're the two players. We're in the middle of a golden age right now, and it's exciting times for us. Let's write the next chapter.
Absolutely. I personally think that Sutton United are on the rise. I really am looking forward to the next chapter indeed. When that will be, we don't know. But for what it's worth, this previous chapter had its, it didn't have the best of starts, but let's just say we're just starting to bloom towards the end of it. Who knows what it could have been. Another question from Jenny, and this is related to more behind the mic, something that I'm very good at doing. I think a few of my colleagues will argue that point, but alas. Jenny asks, did you enjoy commentating Sutton's games, and would you like to have done it again? And what was the funniest or worst mistake you made while commentating? Now, obviously, this is before my time, but have you been a naughty boy behind the microphone, Mr. B?
Now, I know exactly where Jenny is coming from here, actually, and yes, it's worth a mention again. Do you know what? I really enjoyed it. I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, up to the standard of your good selves at SUFC TV or Mr. Dolbear or, of course, Sahel Sahar with the silky tones. I love listening to him, love listening to all of you. But yeah, there were a couple of occasions where I was asked to do it, and one of them, the first one actually, was an away game at AFC Fylde, and I really enjoyed it, Ahmed. I don't know whether our listening public necessarily did, but I did, and we went 1-0 up through Tommy Wright in the first half, and I got a bit excited, and I had done a little bit of homework on the other players and their team and what have you, and I had a bit of trouble with the technology, shall we say. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And having got it to work, I thought I better not turn it off, because if I turn it back on again, then it might not work, and I won't be able to commentate on the second half.
Yeah.
So during the half-time interval, I brought my phone, because it was a phone commentary, round with me, and of course, I'd had a couple of beers before the game, so I ended up having to, well, you can leave the rest to your imagination here, Ahmed.
Oh dear. Oh, Adrian, what have you done, sir? Broadcasting, that is a broadcasting no-no. Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah. Well, the Sutton public got more than they bargained for on that particular occasion, and sadly, the second half we lost 2-1.
Oh dear.
Been asked much since, but yeah, did I enjoy it? Yeah. Did other people enjoy it? Well, you have to ask them that question.
I'm quite sure you got a few tellings off where you got back to the clubhouse the following day, so that would have been. Oof.
I tried to suggest that I was the innocent party, but hands up. But it was all for the right reasons, obviously, Armin. I just didn't want to let the public down by not being able to work the thing in the second half. And it all. Anyway. There you go. Thanks for that, Jenny. Love you too.
They can, they can tell me what you said. I have the commentary laptop, by the way, so I can listen back to what you've been saying on that afternoon. So
I really enjoyed commentating on Tommy Wright's goal. So if you've got it, send it to me.
You know what? We'll give you a bit of love. If we find that, I think it was 17, 18, 19, 17, 18 season. If I find that, we'll try and dub your commentary underneath it and put it on as a bonus on our channel or something like that.
Do it. I'll enjoy
just for fun.
I seem to remember, and you're supposed to be impartial, aren't you? But I seem to remember saying, "Go on, Tommy," just before he shot. So there you go.
I can imagine there's a bit of I can imagine you and James Board being an interesting pair. No, you, James Board, and Oliver Smart being an interesting trio of commentators for an away day. If, be it myself, Sahel, and Tom couldn't make, or Greg couldn't make it. So, oh boy, I dare not imagine what if you gave you the microphone. Dear, oh dear. Alright, let's go with the next one. And yes, AB and Kiara were good at commentating. I'm sure Kiara is an excellent commentator as well, just as a standard second. Number 11, here we are. Favourite players over the years. Alright, here's a challenge for you, AB, because I know you have so many. For each decade, you must give me 3 of your favourite players. So for each decade from when you started supporting Sutton up till now.
Oh, blimey, that's a question and a half.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mainly because I know you've seen the best part of, over 40, 50 years, you will have seen best part of maybe 2,000-3,000 players have come in through the doors and out the doors at Sutton United. So there must be a limit, because if you start talking about this person, we'd go on all night long. So 3 from each era.
All right, I'll try. Let me go. Kind of defenders, midfielders, forwards, shall I, over the period? I mean, at the early days, as I said, Ricky Kidd. It might have been because he visited me in hospital, but it also, I remember him being a great centre forward for us back in the 70s. But that wasn't a terrific era. I was at the back end of Larry Pritchard. He was a great footballer. Centre halves, and of course, I like to look at the old centre halves because I've fancied myself as one over the years, a very bad one. Centre halves. I'll give you 3 names of centre halves that I thought were, just the embodiment of what we're about. The first is John Raines. I know Bruce mentioned him last week, didn't he? But John Raines, he was man of granite at centre half, played 700 and odd games, managed the club as well to a league title, and he was as hard as nails and just off the pitch one of the nicest blokes you could meet. And he looked after his team on the pitch, I can tell you. Yeah. The other one that I really enjoyed watching during the 80s was Mark Golly. He was similarly hard as nails. You wouldn't mess with him. What a good footballer he was. And I'm going to put him in, and I know it brings us right up to the modern day, but Jamie Collins is in that bracket as well for me, Ahmed.
Yeah,
Jamie Collins was one of the best signings Doz made for the club, and I'm delighted that he's still involved with it. He's synonymous with that whole successful period that we had, the league championship. That picture of him in the passageway as you come into the ground, lifting the trophy. What a day! But he is a proper club man, a proper guy, and a leader on the pitch. And do you know what? I'm a bit of a nervous watcher, to be honest. I'm a nervous watcher. But when he stood up to take that penalty against Leeds, I knew he was going to score. Mm-hmm. I never feel like that. I knew he was going to score. I just felt it was going to be his day. And so it proved. I was delighted for him. What a professional, what a guy. Jamie Collins, John Raines, Mark Golly. Midfield, again, I'm going to go. We've had a lot of these two. Barry Pritchard from the old day. Paul Rogers, I'll go from the 80s. I think he was magnificent. Curly, he bossing. He was pivotal in that run in the mid to late 80s. I really like Dave Harlow as a footballer. I think the signing of Dave Harlow won us the league in the 90s, so I'll put him in there. And again, I'm coming up to the modern era again now, but I'm a huge Craig Eastman fan. I just think he's
aren't we all?
A footballer. We've got some great players in the club at the minute, but Eastie, similar to the other two, he just is a step ahead. He just, he takes up the right positions. He knows how to draw a foul. He sniffs out the danger, and he has a picture of what's going on around him. We're very lucky to have him playing for us, and hopefully that will continue for many seasons to come. But Craig Eastman has been a really important part of our recent success, I would say.
Yeah.
So I'll put him in there. And then up top, well, Joycey scored a lot of goals back then. I'm going to have to put Joycey in because he won't forgive me if I don't. and Abel, Mickey Stevens, they were two just huge talisman for the club. But as far as centre forwards go, I'm putting Paul McKinnon at the top of the pile, Ahmed.
Yeah.
Anyone who was around at the time when Macca was scoring the goals, he was mercurial. Great centre forward. He started off as a right back, I think. Frakes will confirm or deny.
We'll hopefully contribute to the chat at some point.
He just, again, when he was on song, Paul McKinnon scored goals for fun. Great player. There's so many others, Ahmed, but, there you go, there's a selection.
Excellent. Well, put you on the spot, and you have come through with flying colours, so well done to you. I must say that you've put under a lot of pressure there. To come up with a few good names like that was very good. Next up, so we've talked obviously about the past and some of the present. Let's talk about the previous season. We've obviously promised a few questions related to that were going to be addressed at that time. So, how have you rated this season season gone, and the decision that obviously the National League have with the season being over? On top of that, what are your thoughts on the next possible procedure for the league in terms of playoffs / Barrow being promoted or relegation stuff, all that kind of stuff? So, yeah, so much I know.
Well, how have I rated this season? So this is back to the Sean Donnelly question about the moment, the pivotal moment of the season, wasn't it? So I think Bruce mentioned it last week about taking the Sutton job was the hardest job in non-league. Was that the phrase he used? He was spot on.
Yeah.
To come into Dodds' shoes after 11 years and the progress that we'd made on and off the pitch. Let's not forget the whole 3G thing, the community, the stadium improvement. I mean, the old lady at is Gander Green Lane is looking so different to what it looked in 2008. That's for sure. And obviously he was a central part of all of that. Matt Gray has come in and he's taken the job by the bull by the horns and really taken it to his heart. He as I said before, he gets the club. Jason Goodliff, I think, is an excellent appointment because Jason played for us. He's works really well with Matt. I obviously work with them both closely, and I see the amount of effort that goes in, their commitment, their understanding, just their football people through and through, and they're ambitious. Matt Gray took this job. It was an important one for him because he'd been number 2 at various places before in the EFL and at our level, and it was the right time for him to move up and take this job. But my God, what a tough job it was to step into those shoes and put his own mark on it. And I have to say, I think that the squad that he's constructed now if we're being honest, where we're at right now, virus aside, where we're at right now in at the end of this season, going into next season with the squad of players that we've got and the whole kind of feeling around the club, we're actually in a much stronger position than we were 12 months before. You know, he was having to construct his own squad, get his players together, who he wanted to keep, who he didn't want to keep, and then where he wanted to strengthen. We've got a lot of young talent in that team, a lot of young talent. So the first 19 games, you know, the first half of our season, you know, we had a tough October, a really tough October, but we kept playing to the principles. Those of us who went to Barrow will attest to the fact that we totally outplayed them that day. They got a lucky deflected goal. You know, they weren't the first team to come to us and say you shouldn't be where you are in the league. You know, we were fed up hearing it at that point. You know, the principles that Matt put in place, the players were following. You could see, and obviously I have the privilege and the pleasure of travelling with them, you could see how much it meant to them, how hard they were trying, how desperate they were to turn it all around. And the Sean Donnelly moment of the season, for me, was away at Torquay, because I think that was the pivotal moment when the dam burst. And we celebrated as a group of people in the Torquay bar after that game.
Yeah.
And a number of the supporters came, and it was you know, an impromptu kind of spontaneous affair, and it was a lot of fun. But the celebration that day wasn't just the fact that we picked up 3 points somewhere where we've been, you know, desperately attempting to do that in the previous games. It was more a case of, do you know what? I think we're going to move on here. We've turned the corner.
Really.
We're going to make this happen. Belief and relief.
Yeah.
So the Sean Donnelly pivotal moment of the season for me is Torquay United away. And to be honest, so it proved. All right, we lost to Bromley the following week, but thereafter we really never looked back. We beat Harrogate, we beat Wrexham, we had the best festive period imaginable, beating Woking twice, you know, 5-0 up after 35 minutes or something.
Dear me.
That was a big scalp as well, you know. And the football we were playing was more exciting, incisive. We had people back. We had Nick Zaneff in goal, who inspired a lot of confidence. Louis John back in the team. Ben Goodliff was playing. Ben Wyatt, what a great signing he's been for us. John Barden playing at full back. You know, what a guy, really stepping into the breach there. Really strong midfield with Eastie and H and Kenny Davis. And of course you've got the wide men who really started to deliver, particularly obviously on the right side with David, Will Randall, Carl Reid, and obviously Bolly was coming back and getting back to more of what we're used to.
Yeah.
And up front starting to score goals, and you know, a goal by Omar Bouguil at Woking that day, you know, just so everything was kind of on a roll. But the moment of the season, Torquay away. After that, we played 19 games. The second half of our season got 34 points.
Exceptional, isn't it?
That's top of the table form.
Yeah.
Not top of the table form. So it was almost like, you know, the dam bursting, and now we're at where we're at. And I know that Matt is really frustrated that we couldn't finish the season.
Aren't we all, hey? Wasn't it ending? Could have been playoffs, who knows? We could have been celebrating a playoff game coming up this past Saturday.
Who knows? We might have left ourselves a bit to do, but, you know, nonetheless, we were heading in the right direction. As for your other question, well, I think the decision to stop the season was the right one. Just no way that you could envisage non-league level playing it. Currently, the National League have canvassed opinion from the clubs about whether we should cancel or postpone the playoffs, which we've sent. I think they're meeting this week, and we might hear further on what the next stage is on that. I presume that we'll know more when the government announces what the next stage of the lockdown is going to be after Thursday, and impact potentially on football. My thoughts, I think the National League will be desperate to try and protect some sort of promotion and relegation across. It's worked so hard to get it, 2 places with the EFL. I think they want to at least try and defer the playoffs somehow. Whether they happen or not is anyone's guess. I would like to think that there'll be some movement across divisions at some point, and this is only my view, but I think the only fair way to resolve it is to do, and it's not, none of this is ideal, and it isn't going to please everybody.
Yeah.
But someone's got to take a decision somewhere, and for me, rather than calling it null and void, all that effort, all that hard work, all that just sheer graft to get to where you've got to, I think that we should be doing something like a points per game basis to work out the final league placings, and then, if nothing else, promote the champions in each division on that basis, and hope that you might still have the capacity to engineer some sort of situation where the second team can get involved through playoffs or through some other route. But that's still all up in the air. I hope, personally, they don't null and void it, and I hope that there's still movement, because I think it protects the credibility and the integrity of the competition if that happens. But we'll wait to see what the EFL are going to do as well, of course, because they're intrinsic in it, because they're involved, aren't they?
Stakeholders.
If it's Barrow, then fair play to them if they happen to go up, because that's the position they're in at the time of the lockdown, and they take advantage of it. Good luck to them. I know not everyone agrees with that, but that happens to be my view, that I think there has to be some outcome to this season, rather than all that effort that we all put in, and for it not to have any outcome for it at all. I just don't think it's right. Now that may affect the number of teams that go up and down. There might only be one, or there might only be one in each direction, or they don't relegate, or they only relegate one or two, or whatever it might be. Whatever the decision is, let's have some movement. Is my personal view.
Yeah, I mean, I would sympathise, obviously, for those below the National League whose seasons were expunged, unfortunately. So all those teams that were chasing promotion from one division to another, or just staving off relegation, or even fighting for a playoff spot, both men and women divisions. There was something to fight for, and unfortunately, there's ended prematurely. I would voice your concern on that one, AB, on the decision on the National League. I'd agree on it, but it's a difficult one. I'd say a very sensitive matter, because there's a lot of teams that were riding on their form to pick up towards the end of the previous season, and if anything, following on with the the ideas the French and the Dutch have gone through with their major divisions, we'll have to wait. We'll see what the National League come up with. I think there's definitely going to be some sort of ending. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but obviously we have to see what the government restrictions are going to be, whether they'll be lifted minimally or enforced any further. We'll find out sooner rather than later. Funny you brought up Torquay. That's our game of the night, by the way. I picked that one tonight because that was my game of the season, and it would be our classic game for the show. Whether we have time to do that or not will depend on how quickly we get through the rest of these questions, but we'll see But yeah, Torquay versus Sutton, game of the night, is coming up later on. It's a really good one.
There was a moment in that game, Ahmed, where I just thought, do you know what, this is turning out. It was actually very late on in the game. They had a chance. They had a very strong penalty appeal that was turned down, which I was excited about. But they had a chance right at the death, and the bloke shanked it just wide.
Was it Matt Buse, I think it was? Just the ball comes up to the edge of the area. He sets it up and shot. And I'm thinking the bottom corner is inviting. It's waiting for him. And how close they were to steal a point from Sutton that day. And it would have been a cruel result. But for me, it was on that day, I'll describe a bit more later. There were just some things about it that made me feel it could happen. It could have happened. So
Never look back though, Ahmed.
You can't look back too much, but I'll talk more about that later on the show.
Good on you.
Absolutely. I think you've covered a few of the ambitions for the club, but it's only fair we ask you one more time. What are your ambitions for Sutton United in the future? I mean, personally, I do see this club in the Football League, and I would love it for them to be in there. But what about Sutton, from not only just being in the Football League, what more do you want from the club? But what do you hope for them in the future?
Whoa, that's a big question. How I would answer that, I think, is as follows. I'm speaking on behalf of all the board members here, are ambitious for Sutton United. We want Sutton United to be the very best we can be. You only get one chance in life, don't you?
Yes.
And what you don't want to do is regret not pushing, not keeping to push. As soon as you stop looking to go forward, you end up going backwards in anything you do in life. We've all worked so hard to get to where we are right now. This is not the time to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is on and off the pitch. We're doing so much work, with great work with the community. You know, all those people, too many people to mention, but I have alluded to some of them earlier. The club now, in terms of its infrastructure, its outreach, the number of people for whom it is such an important part of their lives, has grown exponentially in the last number of years. This is the time for us to really make progress beyond that. Off the pitch, there are, you know, plans afoot. Joyce is working hard on this, you know, pavilion. Hopefully that will come to fruition. There's all sorts going on to improve and increase the infrastructure of the club. But of course, it's on the pitch, Sutton United's first team, that everyone judges the ambition of the club and where it's all going. And I go back to the Boreham Wood game of a couple of years ago, how close we were to getting to Wembley to play one game against Tranmere's for promotion to the EFL. And Doz always mentions at the time that were we ready to go up at that point in time? We've got the 3G issue, you know, the finances, the infrastructure, all the rest of it. Well, my view is that we would have found a way, and we will find a way. If the EFL situation comes around again, and we happen to be in a position where we're pushing at the top end of the table, and you know, let's not be under any illusions. The league we're competing in at the minute is one tough division.
Yeah.
All these teams that are in it is tough competition. All those ex-Football League clubs with massive budgets and structures and you know, staff and fan base and everything else about it. But if we are finding ourselves in a similar situation, and why not? Why shouldn't we? With the squad that we've got, the management team we've got, the fan base, the infrastructure that we've built hard over the last few years, if the opportunity comes around again, we've got to take it. Why not? We will find a way. As just said to you before, what are the ambitions? Infrastructure off the pitch. We have these plans to continue to improve that, but it's on the pitch that the whole thing will be judged. My view, let's write more chapters in this club's already illustrious history. Seize the day.
Absolutely, and I hopefully we'll get to see more of that in the future. Whenever next season starts, well, hopefully, most importantly, when it's safe to, we'll hope to see more of this ambition exemplified by Sutton United in the near future. So, on to the most important question of the evening. Now, Bruce was asked this question last week, gave us a few interesting answers. I believe, if I remember correctly, he would have driven from Land's End to John O'Groats. I have to remember this. So, Sir David Attenborough, Her Majesty the Queen, Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes, I know. And he is a controversial member of a band that I can't remember his name. Was it Ray Davies? I think it was.
The Kinks, yeah.
Yeah, from the Kinks. Yeah, so that's his favourite band. For anyone who wants to give him presents, send him Kinks stuff. He'll still go crazy for them. But I think Ray Davies Ray Davies was part of a 4-person car journey with him driving from Land's End to John O'Groats. Now you, Adrian Barry, are going to be given that same question. Land's End, John O'Groats, you will probably be driving. Who would you take from the bottom of England to the top of Scotland, and why?
So, it's 4 people, is it? I mean, I'm now, because obviously Bruce pushed the barriers back last week, went from 3 to 4. I'm driving his car, am I? So I'm taking 4.
You're driving your own car. Let's be honest. Bruce wouldn't be very keen on anyone else touching his car. Let me be. I feel like that's the sort of thing he wouldn't be pleased about.
Okay, all right. So the 4 that I would have, and obviously this is past and present and all walks of life, isn't it, Ahmed? So,
anything you want, anyone you want to be. I mean, I'm unlike Greg. I'm a bit more, reserved. So I'm happy for you to go in hard if you have to.
You're happy for me to push the envelope, Ahmed?
Needs must. This is a groundbreaking show. We do new things here that many others can't. So fire away.
Okay. All right. So number 1, front of the car with me. I'm going Jesus Christ.
All right. What do you want to know?
Well, we all want to know, don't we? So I think that would be very interesting. Keep us safe for the journey, but more importantly, I'd just like to know. I'd like to hear it firsthand. I'd like that story to be read to me by the person that was there, and I'd just like to ask a few questions. Gain some clarity on a few things.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity. You know.
Needs busting.
So that's number one.
Yep.
So he's going to sit in the front. In the back, right? I'm going to have Gunter Grass sitting in the back with me. Now, Gunter Grass was someone I spent rather too long, big part of my life studying. I studied German at Manchester University all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was a playwright and a poet, and he's another person who I'd like to ask the questions that haven't really been asked, or the answers haven't really been given. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature back in 1999.
Yeah.
The only work that people may know about him is a book he wrote in the late 50s called The Tin Drum. It's been turned into a film. Mm-hmm. And he was obsessed with post-war Germany, recovery, guilt, suffering, coming to terms with what happened, you know, all that sort of stuff. But in his latter years, after he'd been given this Nobel Prize for Literature, which was, as I say, in 99, it came out that he had served in the notorious Waffen-SS as a 17-year-old right at the end of the war. So I'd like to ask various questions about that and his thinking. I studied him, and I did a big old dissertation on him. Gunter Grass died 5 years ago. So there's my second one. He can sit on the left-hand side. We now need a bit of levity, don't we, really, because that's all a bit serious.
I can imagine.
We need a sportsman. So in the middle, cricket is a bit of a passion for me, Ahmed. So I'm going to go towards cricket. I did think about this because I like.
You have a lot of players to choose from, so
yeah,
to put one in there would be difficult.
Yeah, with the famous Sutton United executive travel, we took a trip over to the West Indies in the late 80s to watch the.
Oh, you cheeky mongrels.
A rather feeble England performance there, but we actually hired a little mini moat and went across the island one day, and we bumped into, in a bar in the centre of the island, Joel Garner. He was unbelievable. What a guy. Big, massive guy. And we invited him to come and play for our team, but he never turned up, unfortunately. But anyway, the cricket, Mike Atherton, I thought about. No, I'm going to go Bumble. I'm going David Lloyd for my third.
He's a character. He is one interesting character, is David Lloyd. And
I'm going David Lloyd as my third choice.
Yep.
Because he loves his football. He's funny. He's played cricket at the highest level.
Yep.
He's got some stories to tell, and it's a long way from John O'Groats to Land's End. And having spoken to Jesus and to Gunter Grass, I think David Lloyd's going to need to. He's got a job on his hands.
Yeah, but so, I'm sure he'll deliver. Hey, much like he did on the crease.
You know. So anyway, he's a funny guy, and he's a big Accrington Stanley fan. You know.
I can imagine many weeks where he's, let's just say, downed a few for some shocking performances for Accrington, but a few good ones as well. I dare say that playoff run a few years ago could have been tempting.
I think he'd be brilliant value. So Bumble's my cricket man, and my fourth member. It's going to have to be quite a big car, because this guy's a big lad.
Yeah.
My fourth character is Jack Charlton.
What's
and there are three main reasons for Jack Charlton being in my team, in the car. One is a proper centre-half, and he's going to have some stories to tell. And from what I've read about him, he knew how to look after himself on a football pitch, and I'd like to hear how and why. He also, of course, played on the hallowed turf that is Gander Green Lane. I'd like to ask him about that. Mm-hmm. In 1970, and he was, without giving away my heritage here, he was at the helm of the
Irish team
in the 1990 World Cup, and that, I can imagine, was a bit of a crazy gang environment. I'd like to hear a bit more about what went on behind the scenes there.
Yeah,
you got to say that's a fairly eclectic bunch in that car, Ahmed. What do you think?
I'd say, just touching on Jack Charlton, he had, I think, one of the best stints as Ireland manager that I think if their footballing history would have ever seen. I think went to the Euros in '88, got to the semi-finals? Because I think they nearly got out of the group and missed out. Yeah, they nearly got out of the group.
90,
yeah, they nearly got out of the group in '88. In Italia '90, got to the quarterfinals against Italy, and that night was a hectic evening against the hosts. Missed out Euro '92, went to USA '94. But I think I was watching back the old BBC review of that competition, and to see the report for Englishmen defending Irish honours while they played the Italians and everybody else, it was incredible. And the amount of fraudulence that had to be paid there for many grandpas and grandmas who had to fling a few across to help Ireland in that competition. He must have had a great team. He must have had a great report with those players, and I have to say, Jack Charlton for you would be, I think, a fascinating name to have in your car. But more importantly, he did grace the turf of Grange Green, so it's good to know a World Cup winner was on the turf of one of the best places in the world to play football. So you picked a good one. Good for you there.
And of course, a lot of people will talk about his his time as an England international, of course, too.
Yes.
We might get onto that during the in the journey as well, if there's a traffic jam, no doubt. So a lot there. That's an interesting journey, you've got to say.
I have to, yes. I mean, I don't know about you, but I do feel Bruce's feet quivering a little bit at the thought of Jesus Christ being in your car. It certainly outdoes Her Majesty the Queen a little bit, but yeah, it's a very good quadrant to have. Gunter Grass, Jack Charlton, David Lloyd, and Jesus Christ. Those are four very interesting human beings. Well, I'd say three human beings and an anomaly, I'd like to say, in terms of power.
Dear. Anyway, you did ask.
I had to. I was put under pressure from last week, of course. Now, there's been a lot of demand from the accordion. Before we send you away, Adrian, how is the accordion?
Well, it's in good shape. I've been looking after it. Do you want a quick blast of the pipes?
I'm sure there's a few interested parties that want to hear it, so as long as you don't destroy my speakers, feel free.
I'll give you a quick blast of them. I've just got to go to the safe, obviously, because I don't want it being, it's in a part of the house, the vaults.
Oh, the vaults. Yes. I feel like this is an area we even as commons cannot find or figure out.
Everyone needs to shut their eyes now, pretend they're in the players' bar. Okay?
Yes, the strikers of key are about to begin. Hurry up, close your eyes.
We've just won 7-0, 4 from Omar, 2 from Eastie, and a thumping header from Ben Goodliff, all right?
Brilliant.
That's all I've got to say.
So those who are demanding the accordion, there you go. You can send me money in the post tomorrow afternoon. That's your entertainment for the evening. Adrian Barry, my goodness, sir, you have been an excellent guest this evening, and it's an absolute pleasure to have had you on. And if we ever end up falling into a lockdown situation again, give us more stories, will you?
Oh, well, I'll do my best. I've only scratched the surface, Ahmed.
Scratch the surface you have, but...
what the time is, and I'm hoping people are still awake. Apologies for rambling on a little bit.
We've gone for, 1 hour, 40 minutes. I think that's the best part of, 200-something minutes? So, I don't mind. We've done well, haven't we? So, brilliant.
Listen, thank you for accommodating me. Keep up the good work there, all the guys and girls. SUFC TV, brilliant work, and well, we're all missing each other. The old Sutton family, we're back together soon, and I can't wait. I love you all.
Much love to you too, Adrian. We'll look forward to the next time we'll meet again. But until then, take it easy. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks a lot. Cheers for now. Bye bye.
See you. Cheerio. Bye bye. My goodness, were we treated to some excellent accordion playing and storytelling by Mr. Adrian Barry then. I hope you got your money's worth, everybody, and you got the special Strikers of Key accordion rendition, albeit 10 seconds of it. But for those who missed it, there you go. So, it's time to go back in time again. We're not going to do our match just yet. We're going to show you Guns of Greenland before it was known as it is now, with some more goals of the season. This is from a bit further back to the last one I showed you. 13-14 season. There are a few good ones and a couple from a notable result that a few of you will hopefully remember. But a very good season, I'm sure, for Sutton as they were building up their stock in the Conference South. And I'm pretty sure you'll remember a few of these too. So, here are the goals of the season from the 13-14 season. Some fine goals there. I, for one, haven't seen Canterbury looking like that for a long time. And the last time I saw it looking at anything close to it was when we played Nottingham a few years back. So it's good to see that. And a few good goals there. Notably one from Craig Dundas. That's my favourite, even though I didn't get the chance to vote for it. So, as I mentioned earlier, our game of the night is taking us back to November 2019, and what a day it was. I personally have to tell you, being in Torquay was a real thrill, and the journey there was pretty much encapsulated by the train journey along the coastline of southwest England. A really good journey it was as well, and I think the train was running along the side of the sea. That really got me, and I enjoyed looking through the window at that. But when we got there, it was much like Monaco. It felt like I was in Monte Carlo, living it up in La Riviera. And it was a very humble town, a very quiet, but very joyful town as well. They have a proud football club. But Sutton United were heading into that game over at Plainmoor on the back of a rather tumultuous run. They hadn't really won a game in a long time. And it was a case of, I think it was actually when they beat, when Chesterfield came over and lost 4-0 to Sutton. That was the last time Sutton had won a game in the league. It felt like a long time, but November 2019 will always, for me, live in the memory as one of my favourite games as a Sutton United commentator and, in a way, a fan, because it was the best game of the season. Undisputedly, it was the day that things looked to turn around. Heading into this game, Torquay United were looking good, but had just been knocked out of the FA Cup by Maidstone, and they were looking to revive their form from being eliminated from the competition, as they were favourites against Maidstone before being upset by the Conference South side. So it's a case of, could they respond, or could Sutton end the barren streak and return to humble beginnings in the National League? So, bringing you the commentary is, as ever, Sahel Sahi. It's Torquay United versus Sutton from Plainmoor. It's our classic game of the night.
So Plainmoor is the venue, and it's Torquay United hosting Sutton United in the National League. Sutton have enjoyed their recent visits down to Devon. The last two occasions they've been here at Plainmoor, they've left with maximum points and twice beaten the hosts by 3-2. The question is, can they repeat that trick for a third time? Matt Gray hands debuts to Nick Zaneff and a second debut to Lewis John. Craig Eastman captains the side, and it's a strong looking bench for the U's. So it's Torquay who will get us underway, attacking from left to right in the first half, and Aaron Jackson is the referee. Sutton in their away strip of white shirts and shorts with amber socks. Early touch for Ajiboy. Buse nicks it away from him, and Vincent takes it off. Captain of the day for Sutton, Eastman. Beautyman to Reed. Omar's inside the penalty area. Beautyman, shot blocked by Buse, and here comes Janai. Winter, Reed, nice by Torquay, and debut goalkeeper Nick Zaneff allows the ball to run out of play. Early touch, will settle him down. Taken quickly. Vincent. Naite, good save. Referee awards a free kick to Sutton. Naite with the effort, and Zanef responds with a decent save. Buse. Nice by Torquay. Winter. Well blocked by Goodliff. Good header by Buse. Blocked by Goodliff. Torquay looking sharp on the attack. Cundy with the slice clearance. Ajiboy breaks away, and Ajiboy opens the scoring. Gets lucky with the ricochet, but when he's eye to eye with the goalkeeper, no hesitation. Torquay 0, Sutton 1. A fine finish from David Ajiboy, his second National League goal of the season. Goal coming in the 13th minute. Beautyman gets there first. Reed. Ajiboy making the run. Ajiboy heads it down to Eastman. It's just behind him. Ajiboy wins it back. Runs out of play. And it's a throw into Torquay. Sutton look dangerous when they pounce on the ball in midfield and attack Torquay's defence. Davis was trying to thread the ball forward for Omar. Reed picks it up. Winter making a run to his right. Can he pick him out? He does do so. Winter! Fine run by the right fullback. And that's the equaliser. Didn't seem to get a true connection on it, but he bit Nick Zanef. And it's Torquay 1, Sutton 1. Reed had runners to his left or his right. He picks out Winter, and the first time shot beat Zanef, and it's all level. Nicely done by Omar. Not bad. It's a nice chest off to Beautyman. Quick 1-2, and Omar with the shot. Not really any power generated behind that effort. John wins the header, but directs it straight to Torquay's goal scorer. Encouraged to shoot, and he wasn't far away. Goodliff. Omar's onside. Ajiboy. Well defended by Cameron. Barden. Naite loses out. Beautyman takes a deflection off Naite and spins away for a corner kick. Flicked on by Janite. Referee stops play. Ball slammed into the face of Ajiboy. Accidental. T-Hut doing a roaring trade at half time. I feel quite envious actually of the T-Hut. Feel quite envious. Fancy a cup of tea myself. maybe a cheese bap as well, and maybe a custard cream or two. Nice crossfield ball by Cameron. Buse. Headed away by Eastman and Ajiboy. Falls out to Whitfield. Eastman won the ball, but the referee awards a yellow card to the Sutton captain. Strange. And there goes the half-time whistle, met by some boos from the Sutton fans towards the referee. So in a good, eventful first half, Ajiboy opening the scoring after 13 minutes for Sutton, and then Winter equalising for Torquay. Half-time here at Playmore, Torquay 1, Sutton United 1. So neither manager has made any changes at half-time. The one enforced one happened during the first half when Frank Vincent made way for Calvin Lumbombo for Torquay. So Sutton are attacking from left to right in this second half. 1-1, all to play for in the next 45 minutes. Reed in some space, gets away from Buse. Winter slips. Janai still tracking back. Fires in the cross, cleared away by Cundy. Barden. Decent cross, headed away by Cundy. Davis out to Reed. Reed looks up, flights in across. Omar! Fantastic save by Lucas Kovalan. That was well worked by Sutton. Omar with the header, it was looping over Kovalan, but backpedaling the Torquay goalkeeper did very well. Eastman with a header, and once again Omar was there first, but Lucas Kovalan reflex save down to his right hand side. Janai. Barden stops him. Lumbombo. Back to Janai. This is nice by Torquay. Whitfield. Good lift clears. Cameron wins the ball twice. Lumbombo gets past Davis. Blocked by a combination of John and Goodliff, the two Sutton centre halves. Deflected out of play for a corner kick. This game is bubbling up nicely. Beautyman steers his header towards Reed, intercepted by Whitfield, gets away from Beautyman, looks up, tries to pick out Reed while intercepted by John. And Reed goes down, free kick to Sutton. Goes straight through, Beautyman! And that's the second goal! And it's Harry Beautyman, leading goal scorer for Sutton this season. It was Nick Zaneff with the free kick, and it went straight through to Harry Beautyman. Beautiful finish within seconds of the ball leaving the Sutton goalkeeper's feet. Beautyman was planting it into the back of the net. It's Torquay 1, Sutton United 2. Sutton haven't won on their travels since mid-August. 3 long months since their last away win, and they're leading here at Playmore with 20 minutes to play by 2-1. So Medford Smith with the free kick, headed away by John. It's a free kick to Torquay. right on the edge of the penalty area. Eastman was late. Cameron and Buse go over to the assistant referee to have a word. Looks like the referee won't change his mind. It'll be a free kick to Torquay. Whitfield, and again, still there, and it's deflected away. It was Naite with the final shot, and it was deflected away by a crowded penalty area full of Sutton defenders. Corner kick to Torquay, and it'll be Whitfield who'll take it, outswinging. Naite and Barden both seem to be hugging each other. Headed away by Eastman. Cameron edging forward. Janai picks out Duku. Fine save by Zenef. Duku was all alone. First time shot, and Zenef had to make the save, and he responded. Here it comes, headed away by John. Duku. Eastman clears. Barden. Clearance goes only as far as Lubumbo. Kundi. Bruce! Not far away. As we enter the final 60 seconds of the time added on here at Plainmoor, and our Sutton about to make it 3 successive away wins here at Plainmoor on the spin. And there goes the full-time whistle, and a famous 3 points for Sutton United. Their first away win since mid-August, and their first win in the National League since they beat Chesterfield at the famous Gander Green Lane by 4-0. David Ajiboye opening the scoring in the first half. Ben Winter equalising for Torquay. It was 1-1 at half-time, and then Harry Buteman with the all-important second, which proved to be the winning goal for Sutton United here at Plainmoor. They've done it again. They're enjoying their away days down here in Devon, and it's ended full time here at Plainmoor. Torquay United 1, Sutton United 2.
What a game. That was a fantastic performance from Sutton United there at Plainmoor, and a great day for the club as they picked up a fine victory against Torquay. It started the Renaissance, and as AB mentioned earlier on, 34 points from the last 19 games they played. Brilliant performance. That's enough from me. Just a note to, obviously, Nick Zanev, who's played that game and set up the winning goal for Harry Buteman, left the club recently to go back to his parent club at Wimbledon, and we all here at Sutton United and FCZ TV wants to pay tribute to him. Fantastic performance from him for his time at the club, and we will obviously wish him well at Wimbledon. Hopefully he gives him a chance to cement the number 1 spot there in the future. In the meantime, that's it from me. It's been great to bring you the show again tonight, and a pleasure to have you all on. I'll be back on Thursday night to have Tony Dolbear on, who will give us his 2 cents on his time at the club, and memories are plenty following Sutton up and down the country, even as far as Ireland, I dare say. But fantastic to have you here this evening. I hope to see you very soon, on Thursday in particular. But until then, safe journeys everybody, and I'll see you on Thursday. Good night.